Hello, my name is Grace, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favourite hacks I like to use around the kitchen for the ultimate fresh and clean results every time. And the best thing about these tips is that they are really simple and might even seem like no-brainers to some, but they are hugely effective and you will notice a difference once you start doing them. So without hesitation, let's get on to my first and probably my favourite hack of them all, and that is how to prevent your cloths from getting smelly. Okay, so we all know how gross a smelly cloth can be, and if you follow Mrs. Hinch on Instagram, you've probably seen her soak her cloths overnight in Zoflora. But this alone doesn't automatically mean your cloths are clean and fresh and sort of disinfected and good to go. To combat smelly cloths and stop them having that awful mildew odour, you need to let them dry out in between use. To keep your cloths clean, I'd recommend washing them out at least once or twice a week in your sink with hot water and a handful of soap powder. Now, if your cloths are really dirty, pop in a drop of neat Zoflora disinfectant. And you want the water as hot as you can bear it, because the combination of the high temperature and your detergent will kill off those bacteria properly. And with your hands, you want to squeeze the cloths in the water thoroughly to work all that in. And when you're finished, rinse them in cool water and wring them out as much as you can, because it's the dampness that helps the germs survive and often multiply. So if your cloth still smells, it's a good indication that it's harbouring bacteria. And the trick to stop that happening is to let your cloths dry properly. Don't leave them bunched up in a damp sink, because this is contributing to why they smell in the first place. Depending on where you live, you could stick them outside to air off, or even just place them over the washing up bowl. Or if you live somewhere where you've got central heating and radiators, you can utilise those too. I have noticed such a difference since I've been letting my cloths dry properly in between use. And it's such a simple but effective habit to get into. And another little tip here is, if you do a lot of washing up and you don't have a dishwasher and stuff, you can use a couple of cloths on rotation, so that it gives each one sort of chance to dry throughout the day. Moving on to the second hack, which is on a similar note, and that is to clean and dry your washing up bowl and sink area. So if you ever experience that damp sink smell, it's the same principle as your cloths really. If your washing up bowl and sink area aren't properly disinfected and allowed to dry, germs and bacteria are probably harbouring there. So it's a good idea to get in the routine of wiping this entire area down and giving it a dry with either a clean tea towel or an absorbent sponge. This is one of the most important areas in your entire kitchen, if not your house. So if the rest of your kitchen is clean, but you neglect this part, then you're wasting your time. Because of the frequency our sinks are used, they really should be cleaned at least daily, if not after each use. And another area of our kitchen that we tend to forget about is our washing machine. This simple hack will help keep them fresher for longer and stop the build-up of mould occurring. And all you have to do is wipe the rim and remove all excess water with a mop-it sponge. So once your cycle is finished, there's often a pool of water sitting, usually in the rim of your washing machine, depending on your sort of washing machine and stuff. But the reason this area can get so mouldy over time is just because it's something we tend to neglect. As you can see, I do have a new washing machine, so it's simpler for me to keep on top of this, but it's still a really good habit to practice to keep mould at bay, without even using harsh chemicals. So you just literally want to wipe that ring of water away that's sitting in the rim, and sort of, if there's any water like puddling in the drum, remove that. And then just leave the door of your washing machine open once you've used it, just to give it a chance to sort of dry off properly. You'll be surprised how much fresher your washing machine is if you just do this after every use. My next tip is for another appliance in your kitchen, and that is to descale your kettle if you live in a particularly hard water area, which we do. So if you live in a harsh water area, I'd recommend descaling your kettle at least once or twice a month. And the way you do this is you want to, first of all, empty it of any water that might be in the kettle completely, and then remove the little filter bit, which is usually at the spout where you pour the water out of the kettle. I think most kettles have this, and soak this in a separate little cup or bowl of white vinegar. Make sure it's completely immersed in the white vinegar and leave that to one side. And then you want to pour, depending on how bad your kettle is, if you do it regularly you don't need to use too much, but pour about a quarter of the kettle full of white vinegar, and you want to let that sit there. Best thing to probably do is to leave it overnight, but if you're stretched for time, leave it for about an hour. And a good tip is to switch the electricity off so that no one is tempted to use the kettle while you're trying to descale it. And once it's been sitting in the vinegar for a little while, you want to pour it all out down the sink, and then you want to fill the kettle back up with water, completely fill it, and then pour that water back down the sink, because obviously that's going to be quite vinegary. It might have a little bit of that chalk that's lifted. And then you want to fill your kettle about half full with water and give it a boil, not forgetting to put your filter back in as well. That's really important. Just keep an eye on it, because some kettles, if you've had vinegar in it, they can go a little bit funny. They might like boil over if you put too much water in, so you don't want to fill it too high. And once that water has boiled, I would recommend keeping it to one side, maybe if you've got houseplants and stuff, and just, if you don't, just you can pour it away. But I always use this sort of first boil after descaling my kettle. I save it for my indoor plants because it can sometimes taste a little bit funny if you make a hot drink immediately after descaling your kettle. So you sort of don't really want to use that water to drink, or like if you boil your pasta with it and stuff, you want to just completely get rid of that water. If you want to reuse it on flowers and stuff, that's fine. If not, just pour it away and then your kettle is good to go. But as you can see, it really smartens up the kettle. You can also, before you boil it or while you're waiting for it to descale, you could spray your kettle with white vinegar and give it a good shine up. It does such a good job of removing water stains and that horrible chalky residue that you can get. Right, speaking of hot drinks, this is my next hack, and it is how to remove that tea or coffee stain from the bottom of your mugs. And what you're going to need for this is a cream cleaner. I'm using the Pink Stuff cream cleaner, and I'm also using the Pink Stuff Miracle Paste, and this really good little tool, which is the Sorbo brush. And if you're in the UK, I believe you can buy these from Dunelm, or you can search it online. I'll try and leave a link down below for you, but it is just the perfect size at getting in your mug. I used to use a toothbrush, but I just found that the angle was a bit awkward, but because of the shape of this, it gets in really well, and it's just perfect for scrubbing the bottom of your mugs. They can be used for washing up, but I fill mine with the cream cleaner paste. To begin with, you can squeeze the top of the Sorbo brush and it releases a little bit of liquid. The only problem with that is it does just sort of release the bit of liquid right in the middle. So if your coffee cups or teacups are really bad, you might want to squirt a tiny bit of that cream cleaner in the bottom of your mug, just so that the brush is going to reach those sort of tea stains and stuff, or coffee stains. And as you can see, because of the shape of this brush, you can really sort of scrub it quite well, and all you have to sort of do is just twist the brush round, and those bristles get into the mug really well. This brush is just so effective and easy to use that it kind of makes the job of getting rid of your stains in the bottom of your mugs simple. I used to leave these sort of stains for ages before I'd be like, right, I need to sort these out. But because this tool is really handy and effective, I sort of grab it a little bit more frequently. If your stains are really bad, you can always use something like the Pink Stuff paste, and I use this little bit of paste. I do use a toothbrush for that sort of where the sort of handle is, there's that hole, and it's really notorious for getting stains in it, and this Sorbo brush isn't that great for getting that. So you can either poke your finger in a cloth and clean that with some paste, or you can get an old toothbrush, and the Pink Stuff will just remove that stain from your mug. So once you've got rid of all that stain at the bottom of your mug, you want to rinse it in cold water or warm water, whatever you prefer. So once you can see that the stains are lifted, I'd recommend rinsing it with some cold or warm water, whichever you prefer. I think the cold water is probably better because sometimes the warm water can make that cream cleaner a bit bubbly and you want to be getting that product off the cup now. And then it's a good idea to probably wash your mugs up as normal on top of rinsing them, just so that you know that there's nothing on the mug. And as you can see, this does a really good job of getting that stain out the bottom of your mug, whether it's tea or coffee, whatever. This little sorbet brush is a lifesaver. It just makes the job really quick, very effective. I would recommend picking one of these up if you drink a lot of tea and coffee and you're finding that your mugs are staining quickly. Another simple but effective hack is to clean your chopping boards with bicarbonate of soda. Especially if you've got a smelly chopping board, there's nothing worse than a bad smell on a chopping board. You know, if you use a lot of onions and stuff like that, the smell can really linger and it's quite hard to remove. So I'd recommend cleaning your chopping boards with bicarbonate of soda a couple of times a month, if not more if you use them a lot. And bicarbonate of soda is just brilliant at lifting smells and odours. So if the smell is quite bad, I'd recommend putting quite a lot of the bicarb. You'll be able to see on your chopping board like the area, it's usually like the stained part of your chopping board, just from like the fruit and vegetables or whatever you use it for. Put the bicarb on that area and then leave it overnight if you can, unless you need to use it. If you need to use it that same day, just leave it for an hour or so before you need to use it. But it's better to leave it overnight because I think that the longer you leave it, the longer the bicarb has to actually work. And then rinse it away and the smell is so much better. So my final tip is, if you're looking for a streak-free way to shine your kitchen up, I have found the perfect cloth, and it is the Marigold Squeaky Clean cloth. And you can use this on all surfaces in your kitchen to just give them a really nice streak-free finish. You can use whatever cleaner you like, or you can use white vinegar. And this cloth is just really nice at cleaning a surface and not leaving streaks behind. So the way you use this cloth, or the way I like to use it, is to spray a little bit of product onto the cloth when it's dry, just to make it damp. You don't want to make it wet because then it will leave streaks. This cloth is best used dry to damp, I would say. So you can use it on your tiles in your kitchen, you can use it on your hob, you can use it on the kettle or the toaster to shine them up, or on your oven doors, stuff like that. You can even use them on your sink. This cloth is so versatile and it really does leave a streak-free finish every single time. It's a recent discovery for me, but I've really been enjoying using it. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed some of these kitchen hacks for a fresh and clean, sparkly kitchen. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check my other videos out. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.